Hello friends and family, welcome to Kamira's Kitchen. Today we are making a delicious chicken and vegetable stir-fry rice, but we are not using any soy sauce. This rice is packed full of flavor and tons of healthy veggies. Let's go ahead and get cooking. We're going to start with 3 chicken thighs that have been cut into bite-sized pieces. I really like this because they're super juicy. I'm going to use a little of this tomato and chicken Maggi powder. I'm using 2 teaspoons of this on my chicken, a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of curry powder, as well as a teaspoon of my green seasoning. This is going to be my chicken marinade. I'm going to mix everything together with a pinch of salt, and I'm going to allow this to be marinating while I prep my veggies. You can use any veggies you have in your fridge for this. I like to use veggies that are almost about to go bad, and so I used a lot here. I first started out with half of a red bell pepper. I cut the bell pepper into just some nice medium-sized chunks, and I used half of this and I placed it to the side. I also wanted to use a green bell pepper, so I only used half of this one. I cut a wedge of cabbage and I shredded it to a medium size because it's really going to cook down, so you don't have to cut it too small, and I placed that to the side. I also, for a little bit of color, used my green bell pepper as well that I also cut into cubes. But you can really use any bell peppers that you like. This is a recipe to really encourage you not to have any food waste in your fridge. Use up all those veggies. This is a spicy pepper, so I'm cutting this really small. I want the pieces to be tiny enough so that the spice is spread out throughout the whole dish and there's not a big chunk of hot pepper that anyone's gonna get in their mouth. I sliced up half of a carrot into really thin slices. You could also dice them if you prefer to eat it that way. And then I cut up half of a red onion. I really like red onions because of the color, and I left them big so that when this is done, you can still see that beautiful purple color in the dish. I had a handful of parsley left over, so I chopped that into big chunks to throw into the dish, but you could also use basil or thyme or any other fresh herbs that you enjoy. And lastly, I cut up some broccoli into small pieces. You want to cut them small enough so that they can really cook in the high heat of the wok, because if they're too big, they're going to be a little too crunchy when the meal is over. So this is all of my veggies, all of my peppers, my cabbage, onions, carrots, parsley. You see my marinated chicken. I also chopped up some spring onions, and I used a little bit of canned corn. I'm also going to be using some leftover rice. So this is about 4 cups of cooked leftover cold rice. In my wok, I'm adding flavored ghee. I used a curry powder to flavor this, but you can also just use vegetable oil, and I'm adding in some fennel seeds. Immediately, I'm gonna put in my chicken because I don't want my fennel seeds to burn and become bitter. If you let them cook too long, they'll infuse a bitter flavor in the oil, and you don't want that. But I do enjoy having the fennel seeds because they just add a little burst of flavor whenever you bite into the rice. My chicken has been cooking for about 3 minutes at this point, and it's starting to get some color on it. That's when I'm going to add my garlic and my ginger. I don't want to add these at the beginning because garlic and ginger in a hot wok like this will tend to burn if there's not another veggie or another meat in there to really prevent it from cooking too much and getting bitter. Once my chicken is cooked for about 8 minutes, it's now fully cooked, and I'm going to take it out of my wok, and we're going to start getting ready to cook our vegetables. We're going to cook our veggies in the same oil that we cooked in our chicken. I'm first adding in the broccoli, the carrots, and some of the other harder veggies that take a little bit longer to cook. A little bit of the cabbage came in there, but that's okay. And we're going to stir fry this for about 2 minutes before we add in the cabbage and the rest of the peppers. This will just allow these veggies to get a little bit softer so they're not too crunchy when we're done with the rice. Now I'm adding in my cabbage and the rest of the peppers, and I'm going to season this. I'm going to allow this to cook for about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to start adding in salt, turmeric, a little bit of curry powder. We're going to add some green seasoning, And I'm gonna stir all that together. You should see that everything's now taking on a beautiful golden color, which I really love. I love this golden color that this rice has. Now I'm gonna season this with some garlic and some more ginger. Yes, you need to season the chicken and the veggies separately. Add the flavor in layers. That's really important so that this rice is super flavorful. Now, after about 5 minutes of cooking, I'm going in with my corn and my parsley and a little bit extra curry powder because I felt like it needed a little bit more of that flavor. You can tell by these spices that this dish is going to taste amazing. You have never had a fried rice quite like this before. I'm going to add in the chicken with the juices. Do not throw out those juices. There's so much flavor in those juices. Now, if you don't really like rice, you could actually eat this like it is right now. This tasted amazing just with the veggies and the chicken. But we're gonna move on and also add in our leftover rice, and we're gonna mix all that in. You will see the rice begin to take on a golden color, and you can season to taste. If you need more salt, add that. You could also add some of that extra tomato and chicken Maggi powder. That would be wonderful to continue to season it. So really season it to taste. I put in my spring onions, and this rice was done. It tasted amazing. My husband loved it, and my friends loved it when I shared it with them. And it's a great way to get extra veggies into your diet. It was such a pleasure sharing this recipe with you. If you enjoyed it, why don't you subscribe? I upload weekly. Thank you so much for joining me in Kamira's Kitchen, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.